All right, recording to cloud. All right. Hey, good afternoon or evening, depending on where you are in the country. We have people from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, all the way over to Hawaii. We have mail handlers, we have rural carriers, we have APW members, we have APW state presidents, we have NALC business agents, we have CCAs, and we have retirees in this. So this is a mixed breed of a lot of postal workers. Currently, there's 76 people inside the Zoom, over 200 people registered onto this Zoom. So the reason why we're here tonight is because we, the rank and file of all the various postal unions, need to unite and move forward with one action to save USPS from mismanagement. Currently, it is March 2026. The mail handlers are in contract negotiations, and the NALC, the letter carriers, Brian Renfro just started contract negotiations as well. We can no longer accept the narrative that USPS is broke. Everyone has seen Postmaster General Steiner using the media to his advantage, saying we're broke. And people will start believing that because the quality of our workforce has gone down over the decades because of the lack of pay. And we need to stop this because every year our customer support goes down and down, and we need strong customer support to secure fair contracts. One of the things going forward is we're going to be start doing days of actions. And I want to highlight this real quick. In 1998, at the NALC convention, the 61st convention, they passed a resolution. Informational picketing held if post office refuses to bargain in good faith. Back in 1970, at the 47th NALC convention, they passed a resolution. Poor postal service. We need to inform the public that is not the fault of the letter carriers. So moving forward, we're tying these two resolutions that are already in the book that are perfectly legal, and we're going to develop actions. So that's why we're here tonight and why people are listening to this. And I brought up this idea a couple months ago, 30 for 30. City carriers right now in 2026, as a CCA, you're getting paid $21 an hour. And that's table two. And if you look to table one, if you were hired before 2013, their starting pay would be $32 an hour. So we need to get back up there. The leadership of the NALC has no plan. They haven't had a plan. So they always say, well, if you want 30, what are you willing to give up? And I said, I'm willing to give up management. Under Postmaster DeJoy, he inflated the numbers. As of 2025, there are 14,000 postmasters. There were 14,000 people working at the headquarters of USPS. And for every one postmaster, there was two supervisors. There was 27,000 supervisors. And on the NALC activist newsletter, in the back of it every couple of months, it talks about the ratios. And currently there's one supervisor for every 7 city carriers. And in the 1990s, it was one for every 20. So I'm saying one for every 30 because one, the mail volume has gone down. 2, technology has increased. And 3, we know how to do this job even if the management's not there. And that is a fact. So that is why we're here, because I want to start going after bloated management so we can save the post office. So hopefully everyone's with me to save USPS from mismanagement. And the idea tonight is we're going to vote on 2 things. Creating informational picket lines outside of our post offices, and 2, to march on USPS headquarters. So the idea is create informational picket lines outside of our post office before we clock in and not in our postal blue uniform. That is perfectly legal. And I want to say this because everyone talked about the city carriers mobilizing against vote no. But to me, a lot of that energy was directed at the NALC and Brian Renfro for taking so long. And what I'm proposing is very radical and very militant. And a lot of people are not going to be comfortable directing the anger directly at the boss because they control your salary. And I think this is the first step because coming up on March 17th, Tuesday, Postmaster Steiner is going to be sitting down with Congress. And I believe he's going to propose some draconian measures like they did in 2013. And does any of us want another 2013 to happen? We can't hire anyone now. What's going to happen if we give up our annual leave and sick leave and it get created as paid time off? So let's unite as one collective and move forward. Um, I'm going to pass this over to Mike Bates. If Mike Bates can unmute himself, Mike Bates is currently the president of the APW state of Iowa, and he's going to come on to talk about why we need cross-craft solidarity and why this is very important for all members. Mike, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks, John. Thanks for having this. Thank you, everybody. Hey, Margot, how are you? Yeah, we're in little Des Moines, Iowa here. But the leaders of all crafts have, from like 1990, made a thing called the Iowa Postal Council. And what the Iowa Postal Council does, it has a joint statement of postal union solidarity between the NALC, the mail handlers, the rural carriers, the state IPW and NALC, and the rank and file. And it's something that every state should have. You got everybody, all the leaders on here should have the president of the NALC at their fingertips to make a phone call. The National Postal Mail Handlers Union. We have to stay together as a postal family. What you guys get, the NALC gets, or the mail handlers get in contract negotiations is what we're going to get next year as APWU. And what's really crazy is even the supervisors want us to do good because they do better when we do better. It's freaking crazy, but John's completely right. Too much supervision. We are professional postal workers that have to stay together and we have to fight like hell. We are coming up into a very, very critical time where this piece of crap Postmaster General is going to plead his case that we are losing, hemorrhaging money. But it's not just supervision either. They have EAS and headquarters levels that are coming up with stupid ass ideas to change things just to justify their jobs. And they're making over $100,000 a year. That's what's wrong with the Postal Service. We, as craft employees, we do the work day in and day out. The mail handlers feed the product to the clerks. The clerks feed the products to the carriers, and the carriers and the window clerks are the brand and the face of the Postal Service, and they deserve $30 an hour. People that are servicing small town Iowa or rural communities deserve more than PSE pay. We have in APWU, I think it's atrocious, that we have 4-hour offices. These clerks are opening and closing a post office 6 days a week at freaking $21 an hour. That's wrong. And Margot knows because the NALC and the APW and the mail handlers and the rural carriers We stick together in Iowa, but we need every state to bind together and pull all your resources to fight what's coming at us. And we have to be ready. We have to start talking now. We can't wait for this shit to hit us in the face. We need to be in front of it. And John was completely right. Our customers are losing faith in us. DeJoy, Postmaster DeJoy, did 4Ds. He demoralized the workforce to not care about their jobs anymore. He degraded service to make our customers not want to use the postal service. And the last thing is defund. There's like 4Ds. And it all leads to privatization of the postal service. Don't think for a second that this guy is not going to start piecemealing things off of what the post office pays for. Might start with custodians that make a damn good livable salary. Might start with the mail handlers. I mean, this stuff is for real. And if we don't get ahead of it, and if we don't fight together, we got to be together as a group. We can't, NALC can't run and fight for themselves without APWU, without the National President's Postal Mail Handlers Union, and without the rural carriers. And the other thing that I'm going to leave you with really quick is you have to include your Federation of Labors for each state. So on top of your postal councils, include the president of the Federation of Labor for your state to be included in those meetings. And you should at least have, at this point in time, I'm thinking we should start having them monthly, because we at least have to have it monthly. Look at what we're doing tonight. Zoom doesn't take a lot of energy, doesn't take a lot of time, but we're communicating, and that's what's key in this whole thing, communication. But that Federation of Labor has phone numbers and emails to so many different union members that we need to utilize that to fight. And thank you, John, for inviting me on this Zoom. Me and Julie really appreciate it. And her father was a carrier for 38 years. And I see pictures of him, John, the guy looked like a cop. That's what he looked like back in the day, man. It was professionalism at its finest.
Yeah.
And you guys are going out to these communities and making sure that they're safe for the people in them. And God bless the carriers, and God bless the mail handlers. God bless the rural carriers, and God bless APW. And thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Next up is Greg. I'll let him introduce himself. He is one of the co-hosts of Next Generation Carriers, our podcast. He's going to come on, talk about the amount of work it takes to actually organize a day of action from a branch president point of view. So, Greg, go for it.
Sure. Thanks, John. First, thank you, everybody. I could speak for Chris, Capone, Margot, and John, for everybody for coming on a Sunday night. I'll keep this quick because I know we got a lot to do. But yeah, so like John said, a bunch of us organized the last March, or a little more than a year ago, Fight Like Hell rally in Boston, and we had a really good turnout, and it just didn't happen overnight. So, Chris and I were just wanted to tell you guys how we went about doing it, just some advice on what to do. But so my first thing is, we had a WhatsApp group. WhatsApp is definitely better than text. Text, it flows better, a better thread in WhatsApp. You can create different parts. You could have like this committee and that committee, especially the more people that become a part of anything you're going to plan, but create a WhatsApp group. What we did in Boston was we met on Zoom. Now we did have a paid account, but I think if Chris can verify, I think Zoom is free for up to 50 minutes.
40.
40. So I mean, don't just shoot the shit. Keep it quick when if you're gonna do a free account. But we did a lot of Zooms probably every couple weeks, but we constantly had the WhatsApp chat going. We broke down into breakout groups. One thing we did, if you're gonna hold a rally, depending on what the plan is, if you are gonna organize a rally like we did at Boston Common, and you're going to have people write speeches. What we did was we tested our speeches in front of each other, which I thought really helped. Everybody knew everybody's speeches beforehand to the point where we had to take votes on whether we should allow some of these speeches to happen. And democracy prevailed because some things we didn't want said, and we took a vote and we respected the vote. So, but break into groups, have someone. We had Reed from Branch 34 get the permit. I remember we had Paul Schmeltz from Springfield get I think it was the railroad,
The
another
PA system and the
PA
wire.
system.
He had an
Yeah,
extension cord that we desperately forgot about the last minute.
right.
So he saved the rally. Having an extension cord, people, don't forget that.
Yes. I would say if you're going to do a rally type thing, especially know your audience. But so know your facts. Don't just spout things that aren't true. Research. Um, don't just bring coworkers, friends, family. I could tell you at the last local rally we had a lot of family and friends show up. But one thing that happened was a candidate running for Congress. I don't know how he found it, saw it. I posted it on social media. He saw it, he reached out. I got in contact with him. We've actually talked to him. So you never know who's going to drive by if you do a rally, especially outside your office or out in public, especially when it's nicer. But like Mike said, you know, the customers are starting to lose faith, and it's not but because of what we do every day. It's because of what a bloated, top-heavy management is doing, and it seems like they're doing it on purpose. So just if you're going to organize, you got to stay on top of your members. If you're a branch leader or you're going to be a branch leader, it's just like I do at union meetings. There's a constant reminder. There's a union meeting. There's a union meeting tonight. We have an announcement. We have a Facebook page, but I literally, the week of a union meeting, will put just a piece of paper on everybody's rack or just hand them out to the PTFs and CCAs and T6s that don't have hold downs. But it does take a lot of work. You got to stay on top of it. You can't just let a month go and say, "Oh yeah, we're doing the rally." So, I think I can add lastly that if you need advice, Chris and John are two great organizers. Chris really held our group together. Um, and Ryan Miller, they were constantly taking minutes of every meeting so we didn't forget anything. Ryan Miller would then put it in a Google Doc and send it out to everybody. It's kind of how Chris runs some of our podcast shows. This is just an outline of everything we do. So I think that is a key. So and I think everybody's kind of connected through social media. So any advice or any ideas that you need for planning, feel free to reach out to any of us. Yeah, but that's it. Like I said, I think the keys are WhatsApp, Zoom, and finding a role for everybody. So I'll kick it back to John if there's anything else.
Thank you, Greg. We're gonna pass it over to Joshua Shrum. Joshua Shrum does his own podcast. A couple months ago, the Northeast got slammed with snow, and you saw our post offices shut down or management just telling carriers to bring back mail, don't deliver mail, curtail mail, every excuse in the book not to get the mail out there. And Joshua Shrum I believe back in January, put out the call to action that we should be contacting our politicians to look into this. And this directly ties in with the demand for 30 for 30. We can only shrink management through politicians knocking on the doors of the board of governors. Our contract negotiations can't shrink management. So we need everyone, not just city carriers, we need all postal workers to get involved. And Josh, you're up.
All right. Yeah. My name is Joshua Shrum, otherwise known as the Roseville Wrecking Ball. And I got my own podcast, like he said, and I did call for an action to go ahead and send letters to your Congress people, which people have, and I think we should continue to do so. If you would like to do that, please refer to the Parcels of Knowledge podcast. But to be honest, we're in a fight for the future of the Postal Service, and more importantly, a fight for our own livelihoods. We often overlook our most powerful weapon, which is the court of public opinion. Lately, we've seen a dangerous trend where the USPS is no longer delivering on its universal service of prompt and reliable delivery of the mail. I'm here to say that when we allow the mail to sit on the floor, we aren't just losing hours of work, we're losing the public's trust, and that trust is the most important leverage we have. The NALC has institutionally not shown us any support in keeping the public on our side. I need to remind you that we didn't just take this job, we took an oath. We did solemnly swear that we will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that we will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and we take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that we will faithfully discharge the duties of our office on which we're about to enter. Have we forgotten our purpose? Let me remind you. We were created by the U.S. Constitution as a service to bind a nation together through personal, educational, literary, and business correspondence of the people. We have a universal service obligation, one to each and every community of the United States, however large or small, one in which each and every letter carrier who came before us has carried through the rain, sleet, and snow. We have a reputation as being the most trusted government agency in the United States, and we need to not let the work of those who stood before us go in vain. The law is clear. They do not have the discretion to ignore service standards. When they leave routes undelivered while having every resource to deliver them, they're failing the American people and violating the laws that justify our existence as a public service. The NALC and all the other unions as well is only as strong as the public's demand for our service. When a patron receives their medicine, their Social Security check, or even their mail on time, they become an ally. They will be willing to call their congresspeople to protect our benefits, as they have in the past, and they will stand with us during contract disputes. But the moment we become unreliable, the moment first-class mail becomes whenever we get to it mail, we become replaceable in the eyes of the public. If the public stops caring if the mail shows up, they will no longer stand with us in our times of need. We have to hold management's feet to the fire. We need to start demanding that this organization live up to its legal mandate. Our contract gives management the right to manage, but it does not give them the right to manage the Postal Service into the ground. Let's protect our service and protect our reputation, and by doing so, protect our future. America, we deliver for you. They mismanage for themselves. We have been carrying the weight of management's failures for far too long, and it's time to fix the Postal Service.
Thank you, Josh. I want to just announce that if you're listening and you want to get involved, go to nextgenerationcarriers.com/save USPS. When you go to this website, there'll be a couple of questionnaires. You'll type in your name, email, phone number, what craft you're on. So if you're listening to this and you're a city carrier, please share this with your rural carriers and clerks and mail handlers in your office. It will also require you to put your state. And the three questions we're asking you is, will you bring a motion to your union meeting to adopt Save USPS from Mismanagement Day of Action? Are you interested in informational picket lines before clocking into work outside your post office? And the third question is, will you send a letter to your congressperson about saving USPS from mismanagement? So again, go to nextgenerationcarriers.com/save USPS. Before I pass this over to Mike Cariff, who is the current NBA, the business agent of the city letter carrier out of Illinois, who is currently running for president of the NALC, I want to bring up this quote. This is from the book Teamsters Rebellion. Everyone talks about how the Teamsters is such big fighters, but just a couple of years ago, under Jimmy Hoffa Jr., their union was worse than the NALC. They voted down a contract, and Jimmy Hoffa Jr. shoved it through anyways. The membership mobilized and voted him out and changed the Constitution to prevent something like that from happening. So this quote is from Harold Dobbs, back in the early 20th century, out of Minneapolis, Teamsters Local 574. The quote is, "The tactic was to aim the workers' fire straight at the employers and the union bureaucrats in the middle. And that is what we're seeing right now. The rank and file wants something, and our union national leadership is saying, wait, wait, wait. So by moving forward, by creating nationwide day of actions, even when our national leadership is going around the country talking about how broke the post office is and how we're actually in harmony with the post office. We, as the rank and file, we need to start actually asking our union leadership, what is the purpose of a labor union then? Because it can't just be Article 8. So I'm going to pass this over to Mike Cariff, and he's going to talk about the second step. The second thing we're going to vote on is mobilizing at the USPS headquarters. So, Mike, you there?
Yeah, can you guys hear me? All right, thumbs up. All right, awesome. Hey, thank you for the invitation. It's been a pleasure so far to listen to all the speakers and look here to chat. We're making some progress here, brothers and sisters. We got a lot of strong people. People are starting to make a name for themselves. People are starting to have different ideas and different things and just making an impact, you know. I know everyone is, I want to use the word depressed, but you know, we're like, you know, we feel the effects of what happened to us during the last round of contract negotiations. And it's a fact that it happened to us, meaning that that didn't have to be the outcome. We got screwed on that deal. Our union didn't fight for us. Our union, even though we went through the process, we mobilized, we did our vote, and our vote didn't matter because the president pushed through the exact same contract that we had just voted down. And I know that demoralizes everyone. That's what I wanted to say. But it shouldn't. You know, we're making progress because we're building a movement of letter carriers, and we are the union, and we're building a stronger union by doing that. Brother Shrum, I didn't know you looked like that. I hear you on your podcast, but I don't think I've ever seen you. You do not look like your voice. But man, that we deliver for you, they mismanage for themselves. I love that. I want to put that on a sign and walk around Washington, D.C. So some of you know, I guess what I'm here to talk about is I've had this idea since, you know, since 2023, I guess, that we should be marching where the contract negotiations have taken place. We want to make some progress. We don't accept that you know, we're going to get screwed again. We want to try to push and put pressure on both sides, the Postal Service and NELC. And coincidentally, it is 1.3 miles between our headquarters, which is 100 Indiana Avenue Northwest in DC, and LaFlante Plaza in DC. It's a 1.3 mile walk. And so I did it the other day. We were out in DC for some meetings, and you can watch the video. Some people think I was out of breath, but that's not what happened. It's windy out there, you know, that kind of thing. But I think that the idea that, and this was Brother Murphy's part, you know, this was his idea. So I'll give him credit for this part. He said, what about the Juneteenth holiday? And I like that idea because the Juneteenth holiday will fall on a Friday. And then, you know, you have the kind of the whole weekend. And yeah, some people might have to work on Saturday, but you know, you just plan different activities around that whole weekend in DC. And, you know, you come with your signs, your banners, your demands, you make some noise, you camp out, you know, we try to make an impact there in DC where these lack of negotiations are going on. I mean, we saw the update on the NELC website. If you could get into the members only portal last Friday, what the hell was that garbage? You don't tell us when you're meeting. You don't tell us what you're talking about. The damn thing could have been written by management. It was embarrassing. But, you know, it's very unlikely that we're going to have a contract that's acceptable to us on May 22nd when the contract expires. And then at that point, the clock is ticking. You know, we're going to be without a contract after May 22nd. And so, you know, by Juneteenth, we're already a month without a contract. And we're going to want to know what the hell is the plan? Are there arbitration dates? If so, what is our plan at arbitration? What are our positions? What are we going to fight for? What are we going to take forward to present to the interest arbitration panel, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one thing that I think would be very positive, as many carriers as can. And you know how it is, you know, you start off with a few, and we're walking around DC going back and forth. I figure my route's about I usually got about 16,000 steps in, and I was looking at about 2,000 steps is a mile, doing a little math. And I figure I could walk back and forth about 8 times, in a day without, just in a normal pace. And maybe we can do more than that. And we're letter carriers. That's what we do. And I think we can get some media attention. And I think we can get attention on social media platforms and things like that. And, let's not just sit back and accept our fate. Let's take our fate into our own hands. Let's get to DC where the decisions are being made, where the action is, and let's bring our force to bear on the nation's capital. And I think Juneteenth is a great time to do that. So that's what I'm putting forward here tonight. Thank you, guys.
I have one question I think we all have. So you're a business agent, you're on the executive council. We all know you're not part of the contract negotiations, but what is your estimate? What is your ballpark estimate? When do you think we will see the earliest tentative agreement or an arbitration decision?
Well, I don't think we're going to see a tentative agreement at all because I've seen nothing from the Postal Service that indicates that they're going to put anything close to what we're looking for on the table. They don't even recognize that the thing is broken. They don't, they want an Amazon workforce. They want a throwaway workforce. They want to put a body on the route, and do the minimum. They don't believe in professional service. They don't believe in the craft. They don't believe in having a career like it says in the Postal Reorganization Act. So I got no confidence in a negotiated settlement. I think we're almost definitely going to have to go to arbitration. And then the question is the president going to take our case to arbitration and do something different this time than he did last time? Which is, why I'm saying let's go from NELC to USPS back to NELC and back to USPS because both sides screwed us last time. And we don't want that to happen this time. So as far as a timeline, I don't see there's a 60-day cooling off period after May 22nd when the contract expires where you can't schedule interest arbitration. So it's very unlikely anything happens. And then we have our convention the first week in August. So everyone's going to be there. So there's no way they're going to have arbitration hearings during that time. So the earliest arbitration hearings can start would be like, the end of August, kind of into the fall. But at the very least, when the contract does expire, if there's no agreement, what are the arbitration dates? Who is the arbitrator? We want to know that there's some progress being made and that we're not being fucking strung along like we were last time. Man, that was infuriating what the president did last time. Something's coming soon. Give me another 2 weeks, like it just you felt like the most smallest person in the world the way we were being treated by our president and our leadership. So let's do something about it. Let's not
So you,
sit back
so
and
you,
wait for shit to
so I
happen.
guess, so I guess by September, you would think we'll still be arbitration dates because they don't meet every day of every week. They scatter throughout the month, correct?
Well, traditionally the arbitration doesn't run consecutive. So I don't know. You that those are things that you say, hey, this is important. Here's what we want. And you force the issue. You put pressure on the Postal Service. You take an aggressive approach, and that will give you a result sooner versus not taking an aggressive approach. But I can't speak for the president. I don't know what approach he's going to take. But I know if he sees us sitting back waiting on him, it's going to give him more incentive to sit back and wait as well. Versus if he sees us putting that pressure, I think that moves him a little bit.
Cool. Thank you. Um, so that was it for like the speakers, quote unquote. I want to move into the action items. I want us to start voting. The first thing I want us to vote on. This is for everyone that's in the Zoom. If you're in the Facebook chat, I threw in the Zoom link. So if you want to have your voice heard, click the link, jump into our Zoom. And if you're listening to us, don't stress. As Mike Cariff just said, we have plenty more days of action down the road to organize for. We got to do escalated uh, actions. This can't just be a 1 day thing. So in a few minutes, we're going to be voting on establishing informational picket lines outside of our post offices day of action. And there's two dates that we're going to vote on. Friday, May 22nd, the last day of the contract, or Saturday, May 23rd, which is day one of working under an expired contract. If anyone wants my personal belief, I was saying May 22nd at the beginning. But then again, as I talk to coworkers and other people across the country, I'm pretty much sold on May 23rd. And I'll just list my reasons to kind of whip the vote. Um, One, there's going to be no traffic because less traffic than the workday. Two, you won't have to worry about childcare because the elder spouse or something already happened with that, or dropping your kids off at school. Three, we don't have to worry about Brian Renfro saying we're down to the hours. We're down to the hours because we know that Friday the executive council of the NALC will be in DC with the entire board of governors and whoever else with Doug Tallini and the postmaster. And Renfro's going to be coming out that week. Oh, we're there, we're there. And then Saturday morning, we're going to wake up and there's going to be no contract. And as well on Saturday, it's just easier, I think, for people. It's the day before Sunday, so you're more relaxed compared to like working Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And you're like, oh God, I have one more day left. Let me just kind of sleep in a little bit. So that's my thing. I want us to vote on these two dates, Friday, May 22nd, and Saturday, May 23rd, to be an official day of action. We're going to open up the floor for discussion, but I am proposing that if you are a city carrier, please be ahead of the line. I see Jamie Partridge. I respect you, but you're a retiree. I want to practice the step up, step back. If you don't really have any skin in the game, or if you're pretty much always on these things talking, let the people that don't really talk have a voice. Because we need to have the most inclusive discussion possible. So if you're a rural carrier, if you're a mail handler, if you're a clerk, please feel empowered to raise your hand and be part of this because we can't do this just on the city carrier craft alone. We need to apply pressure all around. So if anyone wants to lead a discussion, please raise your hand and I'll call on you. And we'll keep this open for um, 20 minutes till 9:30. All right.
Also, since if you could just keep your comments to under 2 minutes, that'd be great too, because we have a lot of people who want to talk. And again, we like the excitement, we do, but under 2 minutes, please.
All right. We got Joshua Bernard.
Oh, let me
Hello, can
unmute you.
folks hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
All right, this is Josh Bernard, NPMHU Local 301. I work in the Boston GMF. If you know where South Station is in Boston, it's that huge building next to it, basically. So I'm Tour 1, which most people call third shift, apparently, outside of the Postal Service. So I'm wondering, like, in terms of, like, tactics for this day of action, proposed for late May. I know the idea for carriers is they would be standing outside their offices before they clock in. Um, I'm wondering if maybe we should also encourage like the Tor 1 mail handlers and mail processing clerks, assuming like they work in a plant with an office. I know there are some plants which don't have an office next to them, but for those which do, like the one in Boston, maybe have those Tor 1 people, like after they clock out, join those informational pickets as well in front of the offices as a show of solidarity. Because like most of the Tor 2 people are like old and like they don't have as much skin in the game anymore. No offense to the retirees in here, but like a lot of it seems like the tone talking to a lot of the people closer to retirement in my craft, probably also true for the processing clerks, is I just need to get the hell out of here and retire, which sucks.
Yeah, no, that's the vibe that the city carrier craft faces as well. A lot of the top people at the top just say they want to buy their time um till retirement. And if your point was
30
just
seconds left for comment.
yeah, if your point was just to unite and do a picket line, someone in the Zoom chat talked about yes. I don't know if I could read the chat, but they were saying to your comment in regards that if we could sustain more than just a half hour picket line outside in the morning, let's do it, right? That depends on your region and your office. So I'd say thumbs up to that idea. Um, cool. Kriebel, I see your hand. Want to introduce yourself? Oh, I gotta unmute you. Sorry.
Oh,
There we are. Can you hear me?
Yes.
yes.
All right, good. Hey, John, Next Gen Gang. Hello. A lot of talking today, so I'll keep me quick. But this is something you can get on board with. I mean, $30 starting wage. We should always make more than what the clerks make. One supervisor for every 30 carriers. We're at the time where we need to make the public aware, and we're being told in rap sessions not to do that. And we did that route the last time. We do need to make the people aware because right now people are getting their mail delayed. The service took a hit bad through the winter season. We need to be regrouping. This is a way to make the public awareness. Come out there and herd, stand out in front of that post office on the Saturday or the Friday, whatever you guys select. I can get behind this and support everything that you're doing here. And I just wanted to leave it quick and brief with you, John.
Hey, what state you from? What region?
Pennsylvania, branch 254 president, CLC candidate for region 12 business agent.
All right.
Oh, couldn't tell by the logo.
Is there anyone else that has anything to discuss? We got Badmouth. He just quickly raised his hand. I got to unmute you. Oh,
I got you. I'll do that. I got you.
Hey, I'm just like I basically on my same shit I am in all of these meetings, guys. If you need to, we brought it up, Brother Bates brought it up, and like someone else brought it up earlier about like getting involved in your AFL-CIO, your CLC meetings. With that, there are so many different labor clubs around your city, and these people are dying to come out and support people doing labor actions, right? Like we just saw all the Starbucks workers roll out, right? I made friends going to help picket a Starbucks line. They can show up for me now, right? So this is something that like these informational pickets are so the public knows what the fuck we're going through. They won't know what the fuck we're going through if we're just doing this on occasion. So get involved in all these other things, right? And like this action right here, we can bring on some of those folk. Like join the DSA, join any club that will let you. Hell, if the Young Republicans allow you in there, like just fucking join them and tell them about this shit and get them out there, right? Like this cross-craft solidarity, our union talks a big game about it. And right now, we are actually seeing that in practice from the rank and fucking file. So I'm proud of everyone for being here, and I'm proud of everyone for fucking doing this shit. I'm proud of everyone putting to action the words that we keep hearing people say. Join your local clubs, whether they're men's clubs or social clubs or political clubs, and make friends there and get them out on this fucking day. I love you guys. You're dope. You do dope shit.
thank you.
You're bad enough.
Gabrielle, you're up next, then Steve.
Oh, we need to unmute. Okay.
Nope, we can't hear you. I don't think you're there. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear
There
you.
you are.
Good day. How you doing? My name is Gabrielle. I'm from Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia. I'm with Branch 456. Alone over here. I am so down for being informed, getting involved, learning on my own. I don't feel like, personally, my opinion, like my branch, I don't even really know nobody that's like listening to, being on the Zoom. If I'm wrong, please correct me, but I don't know nobody participating in the Zoom, want to be outside in the morning. I am so down. I feel like on whatever day we vote on, I feel like I'll be the only person outside. But if that's what it's going to be, that's what it's going to be. Because I only been here 5 years. I'm 53, but at the same time, we are the future of the post office. And we need the people that are coming in here. If you got less than 7 years, you need to be outside. You need to be talking. You need to be informed. And the people that I do, you know, speak within the office and deal within the office, I send them stuff. But I can't make people, you know, you can send it to them whether they reading or not. But I push the information out. I don't hold it to myself. But that's just I'm gonna still do what I gotta do, even if it's just me. So I'm with you guys. All the what you say, 70 whatever people on Zoom versus the people that's on Facebook, and I'm not afraid to speak my voice. And that's the problem. A lot of people won't speak up. Everybody in the office, everybody got something to say about the problems, but won't nobody say anything when they say, okay, well, let's write a letter. Well, let's do this. Everybody go ghost. But I'm standing by myself. So, but I'm okay with that. Because when we get paid, we get this money or whatever we going after, they're going to get paid too. And I feel like they should do work just like I'm doing work.
Cool. Thank you.
Awesome. I think we got a president now of this group. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Gabriella.
Currently in the Zoom, there's 104 people. I do want to reinstate that we're going to be voting on informational pickets before we clock in to work. And we will not have USPS logos on us, nor in uniform. So I also want to emphasize I'm as well 5 years in. I got hired in June 2021. And if anyone's listening that is nervous, when I was a CCA, there was 12 of us working on a Sunday. Me and 3 coworkers walked into our break room because our office does morning breaks in office. And our supervisor came up to us and said, "You do not get breaks on Sundays." And I was like, "You joking?" So we sat down and started taking our break. And he goes, "You have two choices: get back to work or clock out." And before he said clocked out, all four of us clocked out and walked out. And he goes, "Well, what about your coworkers?" And I said, "Well, they could have joined us." That's what solidarity is about. And that's what we need. We want to be like the Teamsters. We got to show that we know the rules and we won't fold. And then that was when I was a CCA. And just a couple of weeks ago, or let's rewind to last year, I organized a rally against my branch's wishes. I organized a rally for a fair contract, and it made news. And it made Southwest Florida news. And there was about 20 of us there. And then just the other day, on February 25th, we did an informational picket line. On February 25th, the day the contract negotiation started, and we held signs: Save USPS from mismanagement, 30 for 30, first class service, first class pay. And this goes out to everyone. We're not going to be holding rallies that say fight like hell. We're going to be holding the rallies that say save USPS from mismanagement. We're going to be holding signs that say 30 for 30 because we need real demands and we need to make our demands public. So I'm going to let Steve talk now. Thank you. Oh, where do you go? There you go.
Thanks, John. I just want to say I don't have any rousing inspirational speeches or anything, but I love all of this. I love the solidarity. I love what we're doing here. I just had a question about the choice of date that you put forward, but then you stated that the goal was to pick it before work, so we hit people coming into work. So that kind of changed my question. I thought that the goal of this was to inform the public, to get the public on our side about these issues, to tell them what the real issues with why the Postal Service is losing money is, to show them that it's not us that's costing the service, and that we don't deserve to suffer for it. So I guess I don't necessarily see the logic in choosing a work day and focusing on picketing before work instead of doing maybe like Sunday the 24th or on the holiday the 25th when we can get extended pickets, when we can get full news coverage, we can get a lot of exposure to the public. That's all I got. Thanks.
All right. I think Michael Still, I'll call on you. I've never seen you here before, I don't think.
Hey, what's up, Murph? Hey, I know people get nervous about they see management and they think that it's just like their local management that they're going to be yelling at. Look, I'm a steward. Every chance I get, I talk to our frontline supervisors and I say, it's the PUMs, it's districts that are screwing you too, right? So the more that we can even get local management on our side, they're not being given the resources to manage correctly. They're not allowed to bring people in, right? So the more that you can do that, I think sometimes people get nervous about calling out management because they think it's like just the person, that's giving them their pivot or whatever, right? So like it's about the POOMs, it's about district, right? So if that's going to help people get involved by being like, you're not going up literally, I mean, sometimes you are. A lot of times you are going and yelling at your frontline supervisors. But remember, this is about getting everyone on our side and pointing out that the people that are often buildings that aren't anywhere close to the mail are screwing us. That really helps frame it in a way that can hopefully get more locals involved. That's my thought.
Thank you. Then we have Joni Weber.
Uh,
Oh, I think I muted you. Sorry.
yeah.
There you
All
go.
right. Okay. Yeah, so my point is I think resembles Michael's point just now. So I love this whole campaign. I think it's really the right thing. Is it's really specific, 30 for 30. Everybody I've talked to loves it. Um, and I would just say I want to start doing it now. Like if we're voting on something that's a specific date and a specific time, I would be more in favor of let's start it now. I already have printed flyers from what's on the website. And I think we have to just start talking about it now. Because if the contract ends May 22nd, it's kind of too late. I feel like we should just print it all now, talk to people before service, out of uniform, after our shifts, out of uniform, or covered up, however, but we get the message out. That's how I feel about it. I think it's a great message and we have to do it right now.
Thank you. Too many people moving around. I got Michael Rivera, and we have 2 minutes left of the chat. So Michael Rivera, then we'll go back to Mike Bates. Cool. Michael Rivera.
Okay. Yeah, May 22nd is the big goal, right? That's the big shebang right there to start things off. I think Joni's has a point too of maybe a couple of dry runs that could be done that we can do in between. There's still, believe it or not, tax day still has a high volume of actual customers coming through the post office. That may be to our advantage. Might be something if you can have flyers and you can actually gather people, that may actually be a good test, proof of concept. I wouldn't discourage anyone doing that. And think that maybe possibly if anybody wants to understand how unionism works and they're new to the game, May Day, if you have that weekend off and there's events in your city, go find a union, work, figure out, take notes, and figure out how you can build your coalition in your local, in your area, and your branch to make May 22nd as successful as possible. And also, I think it's really important that we put ideas to paper. A lot of the stuff that we're asking for, they're going to ask, where's the substance? How are we going to do this? Mismanagement. How are we going to deal with the managers? If you guys don't have managers, how are you going to function? Well, we already know that. We can function on ourselves. We know how to do the job, and we know how to do the job well. Like the APWU have their clerks and their lead clerk. They handle the job just fine. Now, for us, the carriers, I think to answer that question is to propose a lead carrier role for the for our craft, something that can manage, cannot do the discipline. We admit that discipline part. That's not our job. We're not doing that. We are guiding our
30
carriers. We're
seconds
making sure
left,
the
Mike.
money's getting out there. And so I'm putting up on the chat an actual draft that was written and inspired by John and by Mike Cariff too. mentioning the idea about having lead carriers. I put pen to paper, and this is what I have. It's not perfect.
Hey, I'm gonna cut you off. We'll open this discussion back up at the end for just the general. This was just for the two dates, May 22nd, May 23rd. Um, it's 9:30, but I'll let Mike Bates come in because he is the president of APWU, and it's good to have another voice in the mix.
Well, really quick, John, in group, I think press releases to let people know what 30 for 30 is and educate our people of what that is, what it looks like, what we're fighting for, what the NALC is fighting for. I think that press releases going into that. I like the tax day. I think doing bigger rallies, I think might be better, but I think those press releases inside of union halls across the country would help educate people of what you guys are truly fighting for, because I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
All right, cool. Carrie, I'm gonna have to skip you because it's 9:30, and I just want to recap. Um, the two dates, Friday, May 22nd and Saturday, May 23rd. This is not the end, it's the start. I agree that we all have very low participation, but like I said earlier, I don't think most of our membership is on board with confronting the boss yet. I honestly believe the vote no momentum was carried because of Brian Renfro, not because of Doug Tolino. I've yet to see any memes or jokes about Doug Tolino on the internet. I just see memes and jokes about Brian Renfro. Please change my mind. Hopefully, we have 100,000 letter carriers out there on this date. And also, on top of this date, is not just picket lines, informational, it's not just informational picket lines before we clock in. We will also develop a Dear Congressperson letter where you will sign on to it or create a petition, get your coworkers to sign on to it, and we mail it to our congresspeople. The one thing that hasn't been addressed yet is it is midterms. The politicians want our money and they want our vote, but they got to earn our money and they got to earn our vote. And they're the ones that could go knocking on the doors of USPS Board of Governors and say, hey, clean up this mismanagement. And one of the perfect examples of mismanagement is in 2025, USPS paid out $500 million in penalty pay. That is 1/19th of the debt, right? Or 1/18th of the debt, right? They're saying we're worth $9 trillion in debt. You paid out $500 million in penalty. That's straight mismanagement. That's just one example. So we need not just to have informational picket lines outside in the morning, but we also need a follow-up, right? We need to get our coworkers to sign letters, to sign petitions, and mail it to our congresspersons. We don't want to email it because it'll just end up in the junk folder of the staffer. We want legit letters to the offices. So that's what the proposal is, and that's what the working idea is. So we're gonna move into voting on uh, creating informational picket lines before we clock into work in May. So I asked earlier if everyone knows how to do the thumbs up emoji. So
Actually, I
if
think the
you
raise hand emoji would work, I think, a little bit better. That one counts. But yeah, hit the raise hand. That way we can
okay,
count them. And there's a nice little tally right there in the bottom left. So a little practice for you. Just hit that thing. So that's how you're going to hit.
all right, cool. Hey, everyone, put your hands down real quick. We didn't vote yet.
All right, I can clear it.
Clear it. We'll let one person. All right, so everyone that's in favor, like I said, we're gonna vote on two dates. Friday 23rd, I mean Friday 22nd or Saturday 23rd. So anyone that's in favor of Friday, May 22nd, raise your hands.
All right, we'll give you a 5 count. 4, 3, 2, 1. I see 24 hands raised. All right, thank you. I'll clear it. Okay.
All right, now everyone raise your hand if you're in favor of Saturday, May 23rd, the first day the contract expires.
All right,
It's
I'll
already
give a
one.
five. Oh, okay, we'll give you a 5 count. 4, 3, 2, 1. 33. Saturday, May 23rd has 33 votes. May 22nd has 24 votes. So 23 wins the day on the day the contract expires. Nice job, everyone.
Congratulations to everyone that just practiced union democracy for the first time in their careers. This is what we need. Um, so to move on, I think Mike Cariff could come back in because we are now back up to 102 Zoom participants. We're 10 minutes behind the schedule, but that's okay. Juneteenth weekend, I'll let Mike Cariff talk about it again, but we will be voting on establishing a march on USPS headquarters during Juneteenth. We'll work out the details in the coming weeks to do permits in the actual day. Um, we'll have discussion, but Mike Cariff, you want to come back on and briefly talk about what your idea is?
No, I don't need to repeat myself, but what's the debate? What are we voting on? I mean, there's some thought about Memorial Day weekend would be better. Um, I think that a little bit more time without a contract and kind of that Juneteenth weekend would work better. We got to pull permits. We got to see what the landscape is like in DC, and how that works. Or we don't have a permit, I mean, we're just walking around. I don't know, but I don't know what we're voting on here, but
All right.
I don't want to repeat myself all over
Okay.
again.
So I'll open up for a discussion for anyone that has questions and answers or comments or concerns regarding our march on USPS headquarters. Um,
Oh yeah, I'll go. I got a little thing prepared for this. So
I was gonna say
yeah.
Chris has been writing this for like 5 hours today, so I'm gonna call on him
Come on, it's
first.
been 7 hours. Okay, all right. I'm not a good typer. All right, but thank you. I might have. Hi, I'm Chris. You might have heard of the February 22nd rally. I might have brought that up with somebody. So I got it like a 3 minute spiel. I'll be quick. Don't worry, because this is important. So the 30 for 30 campaign started for two very simple reasons. One, a $30 an hour starting wage, and two, a 30-to-1 worker to management ratio. These are the demands that address what people see every single day. First, we have a staffing crisis. People are getting hired quicker than we can replace them because the pay doesn't keep up with the duties of the job. Postal workers are risking their safety and their lives for a poverty wage. Second, we have an explosion of postal bureaucracy while the workforce is doing the actual work is stretched thin. Right now, the postal workforce is divided into four separate unions: the letter carriers, the APWU, the rural carriers, and the mail handlers union. Management even has their own association. In somehow yet, management manages to get a higher percent raises and bonus while blowing $866 million on grievance settlements. Historically, our four unions used to work together in this bargaining called the Grand Alliance. Today, the union bargains separately, and frankly, it hasn't really worked as we've seen over the last few contracts that we're not doing well separately. Being divided is something we shouldn't accept. We are stronger together. And that's where the spirit of the 30 for 30 campaign starts. The first step is already being organized, like we're talking about with our rallies and with our informational rallies outside. Now, one proposal I'd like us to consider is a national rally in DC. Now, this idea has been the child of Mike Cariff for a very long time, and he's been talking about this a lot. But the concept is a 1.3 mile march. Now, originally, 1.3 was kind of a joke over that 1.3% raise, but now this is becoming something more meaningful. Our message would be simple for the public: $30 an hour starting wage and an end to runaway postal bureaucracy. The date, which could be on, is Juneteenth, which is a federal holiday, which many of us, except some of the CCAs, and I've been one for 3.5 years, so I get it, we have it off. Juneteenth represents a broader struggle for economic justice, and that connection matters because the Postal Service has historically been one of the most important employers of black workers in the United States, providing living wage jobs when many industries excluded them. Now, tonight, I'd like to propose something simple. First, we want to vote whether we want to organize a major rally in Washington, D.C. Then, after that, if it's okay, I'd like to go ahead and decide if Juneteenth is the right date for it. If DC, now I know DC is too far for some of the workers, so maybe we can work on something, a hybrid of that, to some way to do it. But But this is what we want to do. This is why we need to start organizing now. We need to get permits. We need to contact the media. We need to contact politicians. We need to contact other unions. We need to organize buses, trains, transportation. These things take time. I might have tried to stress this someone to a certain president of our union who didn't understand you need at least 3 months to do it. We got 3 months now. So at the end of the day, the message is simple. Postal workers of all crafts deserve a living wage, and the postal workers should be in the interest of workers and not bloated mismanagement. And there's another reason why a rally like this matters right now. Across the country, workers are starting to fight back. We saw what happened with the UPS Teamsters and how they've scored a historic contract. And also, if they can win a $49 an hour contract, we should be able to earn a $30 to start for all postal workers. We move the mail in this country, not management. This could be the largest cross-craft rally in decades that we've ever seen. So this message would not send a message just not to postal management, but to the entire labor movement. It would show that postal workers are ready to stand up for themselves and fight for the future of the postal service. And that's why I think it's something worth seriously organizing together. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. I'll call on Kirby. Introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Kirby. I'm from Branch 725, Southeastern PA. I just want to say I am in favor of this date specifically. I think I can understand. I already saw some chat saying, is this really a good idea for us to use this date because of the importance of it? But I do want to say some of the earliest strikes in labor history in the United States were by slaves on plantations, like actual organized strikes that ended horribly. But they are extremely important moments for labor history. So I think that it would be actually an extremely useful and beneficial way to use the holiday to raise awareness for labor. However, I don't think that we should be using it haphazardly. I think we should be intelligently using the date, not just for optics, but also use it as an opportunity to educate people as well. So that's all I have to say.
Cool. JT, want to introduce yourself? Where do you go?
This is Josh. I know.
You're good.
You guys gotta unmute me. It's not mine. Well, come on now. Come on now. I'm not a host here, just a guest. I agree. I agree with Kirby. We gotta be very strategic if we do use the Juneteenth holiday. If we are thinking along the lines of Memorial Day, either way, it's a holiday weekend. It's gonna draw a lot of tourists and it's going to draw a lot of people that aren't normally there. So to get a vast variety of people to be exposed to our plight using a holiday weekend is huge, especially in those areas. It gets packed real fast. I know because I have family down there, and anytime I've ever gone there during a holiday week, it is a zoo. So make sure if we do this, we need to know if the media is coming, who's speaking, if they have something prepared, and not to just and have a simple, concise message, nothing that strays off of topic. We have to stay on topic, and we need to know who is speaking with what information. This could derail real fast if you get someone that's not ready for the moment and starts going off track.
30 seconds.
All set.
Thank you.
Do you have a podcast?
Oh, we muted him. He doesn't, I don't think. Yeah, we need some labor solidarity for that one. But all right, thank you, Josh.
To answer part of that question, I was on the phone the other day with Bill Kriebel, who's running for business agent out of Region 12. Because he brought up the concern, right? If you have all these informational picket lines before work and the media starts showing up, what's the message going to be? And I said, well, let's see if actually anyone buys into this idea before we move forward with anything, because usually I have all these ideas and they go nowhere. But here we are tonight when there's over 100 people on the Zoom. I think going forward as we start planning for May, June, maybe Labor Day, we have like a media person for that region, for that state. Because up there in New England, you have Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine, Rhode Island, and they only have like the same news channels for that whole region. So if you get one person on the news, it'll go out to everyone. That's just one idea. And it also makes it safer because someone who's just a rank and file that's doing it, and if they get approached by media, I would recommend not to say anything. To probably give the media a draft letter. So that's one of the ideas that me and Bill Kriebel were bouncing around. So thank you, Townie. Greg Donaldson, I haven't seen you in a while. Want to introduce yourself?
Uh, there it goes. Greg Donaldson, Branch 88, President, Galesburg, Illinois. I really like the idea of doing these informational pickets on these holidays. You see a lot of traffic, you see a lot of tourists in these areas. I do agree with the concerns that are being expressed over the messaging, especially around Juneteenth, especially around Memorial Day. Focusing on Memorial Day and the impact the post office has on veterans and the employment opportunities that veterans have. We're the second biggest employer of veterans, only behind Walmart at this point, I think. I wanted to float a third idea that I hadn't heard talked about, mostly because the date of this isn't something we would have necessarily control over. Doing informational pickets on the first day of, if it happens, and I believe it will, interest arbitration, like was done during the Fleshy Award in the late 90s. That was the award where letter carriers moved from grade 5 to grade 6 pay. It was a huge pay jump for, I think Mike was a carrier back at that point, so he might remember that. But it's something we should consider. But that's going to be months and months out. So thank you.
And all right, if I can just add in too, another thing we're planning way down the line. I'm glad you brought this up, but the idea is that we can then do a city rally. You know, like I know us in Boston, where I'm nearby. I'm not Boston, that's Branch 34. I'm Southeast Massachusetts, but we'd organize buses and everything to come to the major cities outside of wherever it makes sense. For us, we do it in front of the State House. It's called Boston Common. It's a good spot. You know where the big cities are. But big rallies when interest arbitration start, that's a great idea because, as I tried to explain to a certain president of this union, it can't be one day and then we're done. That doesn't work that way. If all we needed was one rally, why are we meeting, right? This pressure has to be public. We need our brothers and sisters and union family from all the union craps to be here too, because we all know if the letter carriers get a crappy contract, you get a crappy contract. We got 1.3, you got 1.3. We've been bargaining separately and this hasn't been working. So we all need to start coming together and working together because we need to be on the same page. We need to be fighting together, rowing in the same direction. So yes, thank you, brother, for that. I do appreciate it. And I really think we should, when we get there during arbitration, the first day, I think a rally is a great idea. So great idea.
Cool. Miss Weber, you're up next.
Hey, can you hear me? Yes, no, yes.
Yeah, you're good.
Yep,
Okay,
we can hear you.
because my square doesn't say so. Okay, so my big thing is I think it's a great campaign, the 30 for 30 thing. I've already printed it and been talking about it, and people love it. So my plan is not to wait for the date of when the contract ends or the day before or anything like that. I think that it should be a constant discussion. And my particular branch is kind of Renfro friendly. And I have big backstories about the last rally in LA about that, which was suppressed and it was terrible support. So this thing is the right campaign. It's the right direction. So I'm going to be doing it whether there's a date that is for it or not. I already printed it. So is that a problem to people? I think we should all be doing that right now. 30 for 30. It's an excellent message. It should be out there today all the time.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, on my point of view, I had rally signs already made for February 25th, and we did informational pickets. And I'll probably do coworkers. I'll probably ask my coworkers to do it on May 1st, International Workers' Day. Why not, right? But the idea is you can't just do little actions here and there. That doesn't really apply pressure, right? But you do gotta get your muscles working, right? So that's a good that you want to get out there. But the best practice is a collective action. And if we can unite all four postal unions together, that's the point, right? So that's my thing. I say go forward, practice everything. So the next person up is Cameron. Want to introduce yourself, craft and city?
Hi, I'm Cameron Filiatro, they, them. I am Austin, local branch 181, city carrier, actually CCA. I'm in my third month. I'm still actually in my 90. Uh, uh, Interesting job this is. I have a question, that hopefully you can, answer on, I guess, the logistics front of the organizing of this. Like setting dates and stuff is really good and it's really important and it's something to work, it gives us like a goal to work towards of like activating people for that. But do we have any sort of like, uh I'm not sure the word I want to use, like pipeline on how to get people like involved. I'm not sure how many folks here have done like large amounts of like union or political organizing. I have done a lot of political organizing, not really union organizing, as this is my first union job. But I know it takes a long time, like months, years sometimes, to get like a good base of people to do something. So I'm just curious what like your what the plan is in terms of like how are we going to get people activated?
Great question. I can just do that too. So I'm just going to put in the chat. There's a WhatsApp group that's a good way for us to communicate because there's a lot of questions, right? I've been doing this for a long time. John and I, we met each other during the Occupy movement 134 years ago, I think. I don't know. It was a horse and buggy thing back then for us, but that's a great place to go for it. We can help you with it, but I made a checklist for this. It's all about permits and getting things, signs to make and everything. But absolutely, thank you for asking that question. We do have it there, so please, any help doing anything, reach out to there. We'll start cultivating it more. That way, you'll know, and we learn from each other. I don't have all the answers, but I mean, in that group chat, some people have some good things to help out with each other. So please do join that, and we'll start talking together in between meetings because that's a great question. Thank you for bringing that up.
All right, next up is Reed Wilder. Want to introduce yourself and what craft and city you're in?
Yeah, hey everyone. I'm a city letter carrier, Branch 34, Boston. On the question of timing for a March on Washington, I think one thing to consider is that a lot of branches do not meet in July or August. So there's a big gap in the summer where, at least in Massachusetts, all the union leaders are going to be out on the Cape. And, the organizing opportunities are low. So we really need something that's either before July, so we can be pumping this at the branch meetings, or we're looking at, September, October for an action. And I guess I fall on the side of doing it before that July break, especially with how much attention the National Convention will take up. So I think Juneteenth is a good way to go.
Cool. Yeah, this is great. It's 9:54. I was gonna open up for the general meeting, but I want to do like a vibe vote, right? We're not gonna settle on yes or no on Juneteenth, but I just want to see what the vibe is inside this Zoom chat of 100 people. Um, Raise your hands if you're actually thinking that we should be moving forward with a day of action during the Juneteenth weekend. It's all about messaging, right? So we could break it down later on, as in if it's going to be strictly DC or nationwide. So just if you're in favor of mobilizing on Juneteenth, just put your hand up and we'll just get the vibe from that as well. Thank you all.
Yeah, there was a lot of them. I think there was about 38. No more hot dogs, Josh, or hamburgers. This is a very serious vote, but thank you. All right, so about 38. Okay.
So that's pretty good. Again, like I said, we don't have to decide on the date or the action or the message at this point, but I just wanted to see if the vibe was there. Because down the road, we're gonna have another meeting. This is what I want to vote on right now. It's 10 o'clock. Let's vote on meeting again, right? We just voted to establish a day of action on May 23rd. That's Saturday, day one of working with working under an expired contract on the city letter carrier craft. So that takes a lot of planning, right? As we're talking about planning, and trying to empower. The biggest thing is empowering our membership, our coworkers to actually stand with us. And it might be nervous at first, holding a sign outside, but then once you do it, you kind of feel silly. You're like, wow, this really does nothing, right? That's a good change of thought, right? You go from being afraid to being like, this doesn't do anything. Um, but then the next step is, well, if I had two more coworkers, if I had three more coworkers with me, that's an impactful thing. And then if it's nationwide and the media is showing up, that is called solidarity. So I want to put up a vote right now on holding our next meeting. The two proposals, if anyone has any other ones, please throw them in the chat. But the two proposals moving forward with, me and Chris were talking about this earlier, is March 29th at 11 a.m. We're doing it in the morning because the Next Generation Carriers podcast has an event later in the day. We also want to try to shuffle around the dates because right now it's 10 o'clock East Coast time. But we did this late so the West Coast could be on board, but we want to do 11 a.m. on March 29th. That way the West Coast could wake up and they could just roll onto the computer before their day starts. So we have one date is March 29th, 11 a.m. The next is April 5th, which is Easter at 8 p.m. East Coast time. So those are the two dates. If anyone has any other date that they think is more pressing, um, Chris, if you're reading the chat, let me know because I'm just reading my Apple notes.
Yep.
So that's a vibe. All
Hey,
right, cool.
John.
Yep. Go ahead, Greg.
Can I just say something? I think there's been some discussion in the chat. Margot and I have been following it. I wouldn't do anything in uniform that discredits the post office. I know there's been some discussion, but I've always been told, I tell my carriers, and just as a branch president, I can just see someone handing out a 30 for 30 flyer while they're doing their route. Don't do anything in uniform on the clock, on the floor. Take it to a union meeting, bring it to your branch president. I know we just got I think we had someone in there 90 days just talk, Cameron. So a lot of people don't know the rules, and we're not going to sit here and argue over the rules, but I wouldn't do anything in uniform. I think Jamie just posted the Elm reference or the section from the Elm. So I just want to remind people I wouldn't do anything in uniform. So that's all I had.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna open up the discussion, but let's just get the vote out of the way. I see Joshua, Melissa, and I think there was someone else. If you could raise your hands real quick, let's pick a date. So everyone that's in favor of the next meeting
Hold on to clear
being,
that. Okay. No, go ahead. Double
all
do the
right,
chat.
everyone that's in favor of March 29th at 11 a.m. East Coast time, raise your hands.
Okay, we'll give it a 5 count. 4, 3, 2, 1. I see it was 38. Okay.
38. Yeah.
Okay. We'll do alternate date at 8 o'clock again as the other vote.
Oh, I gotta clear this thing real
I'll clear
quick.
it. Gotcha.
All right, and then all in favor of April 5th, Easter, 8 p.m. East Coast time, raise your hands.
All right, I'll do a 5 count. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 16 votes. Final count, March 29th at 11 a.m. That is 38 votes. April 5th, 8 p.m., 16 votes. The winner for the next meeting is March 29th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Cool.
Awesome.
If you could clear that.
Clear that. Cleared.
All right. At this point, let's just open up for discussion. I saw Melissa. If you want to raise your hand, I'll call
And then
on you.
Josh. Yep. Okay.
Where's Melissa? Too many people in this. I'm not used to this, guys.
That's a good problem. All right, we're gonna unmute you. Okay, I got the unmute.
Okay, thanks, guys. Hey, Melissa Rakestraw, branch president, branch 825, Oak Brook, Illinois. Because we were discussing this in the chat and I wasn't going to say anything, but since someone else brought it up, I wanted to respond. I think there's a lot of fear mongering going on about whether or not people are in their uniform before work outside the station doing informational picket. We have a right to do that per NLRB. Also, hey, I don't want to have to defend discipline either, but I'm more than happy to because they can't discipline us if we're breaking some Elm rule that we don't even know about. And I do think it makes sense to be in our uniforms because it's going to catch more attention. People are going to be driving by wondering what's going on. Why are the mailmen out picketing before work? So I just don't think we need to fearmonger about it, is all I'm saying. People can do whatever they want. But I just want to put that out there.
Cool. Thank you. Joshua, then Mike and Julie Bates.
Hello, can folks hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. I wanted to mention I would have liked to have spoken before we voted on the dates and times. I wanted to say there were people in the chat who mentioned potential conflicts that they had specifically for the March 29th date. I voted for it because I knew I would be available, but I can't help but wonder why specifically 11 a.m. as opposed to like sticking to the same time because we've demonstrated that we can make it at this time already.
I'll answer that question.
Oh, also, sorry,
on.
additional question afterward is why not make these meetings weekly or at least like every couple of weeks?
Okay, I can answer that too. One, the first answer is the Next Generation Carriers podcast has an event coming up on March 29th. It is in the Postal Record. So whoever gets the Postal Record and finds our logo and does a selfie with it, you get your own episode unfiltered. That goes out to nearly 300,000 people. Yes, unfiltered. Second part of that question is I'm married and I'm constantly doing something for the Next Generation Carriers podcast, so my wife will probably divorce me. I'm hoping this develops into a big working group and it's not just me, Chris, Margot, Greg, and Capone doing this, and we could start meeting more often. But for now, those are the two answers of why I pushed 11 a.m. And also to shuffle it around from West Coast and East Coast. The West Coast right now, it's over in Hawaii, it's middle of the day, so I don't want to interrupt them. So yeah. We're gonna do Mike Bates and Julie, and then Carrie Schofield. Okay.
All right, thanks, man. So I think before we meet again, because I just, we've done this on Sundays before with the rank and file, as well. But John, can you send out the joint statement of postal union solidarity that I sent you from the Iowa Postal Council to everybody? And then I encourage everybody to, on this Zoom, is to go around and let's collect some information, right? Let's get the cell phone numbers and emails of the leaderships in every one of these states so that we all can start collecting that data because we're going to need it going forward. But I really think that once you collect that data and you take this joint statement of postal union solidarity to these people and ask them to sign it, I think that that's going to be huge moving forward. I really think it's going to take a collective of all four postal unions to be successful, not just in contract negotiations, but to fight against privatization and piecemealing the postal service to the rich and famous. Thank you.
Cool. Then we got Carrie.
Hi, is this for general discussion or only about this general?
General. We're
General.
yeah.
Carrie Scoville, Branch 1100. I work out of the San Pedro, California office, City of Los Angeles. I hope to see you guys in August at the convention. I won't be a delegate, but I'll be there anyway. I wanted to talk about what we have going before Congress right now in the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act proposes to eliminate vote by mail ballots, which is a central part of our job. We are a central part of elections. Elections are happening right now as we speak. Concurrently with our contract negotiation, I believe that postal workers are defending democracy by distributing and collecting ballots. And maybe we could, enhance our rallies that way somehow to make it to impress in the public how vital our service is and how we deserve a better contractor to be paid what we're worth. Hopefully, the SAVE Act will not pass and will continue to be delivering ballots and collecting ballots. Thank you.
It's 10:06 p.m. If there's anyone left that wants to speak, there's currently 83 people in the Zoom. Please raise your hand or we could close out this meeting. We have Michelle. Want to introduce yourself, craft and city?
Hi, I'm Michelle Karras. I'm currently a city carrier and just started February of last year. So I'm out of Boston, branch 34. I have a municipal background of 30 years and come from local government and state government. So I just wanted to say that I have a lot of contacts and I also was an IT director, so a lot of technology knowledge of. So if there's something that needs to get done, maybe a survey of some sort or any types of collecting of data, I think I'd like to just voice that to you to introduce myself and welcome my services. And also my other to say what Carrie just said about the votes that we send, like those pamphlets that we carry for the town clerks. Could we get our message to the local clerks to work with the voting? I know that local clerks, I've worked with them in the past, are very, very passionate about getting people to vote. And if we are the ones that are carrying that message to the people, I think that their organizations would also be willing to step up and help us with our union stuff. Thank you.
All right, Michelle, I'm going to put the WhatsApp chat link again. Please, please join that. If you have that level of background,
yes,
join the WhatsApp group or don't come to another meeting. There we go. All right,
you
we
got it.
need
This is
that
my
level.
first one, honey.
All right, perfect. All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you. Oh, that's what we need. So, and also, if you're new and you haven't done this before and it's your first time, I know one of the, we had that member who mentioned this is the first time they've been involved with a union. This is the place to learn it. You want to learn how to do it? Learn with the pros. Plus, like John will be there because he knows the shit better than me. But anyway, we're gonna have a crew here, so please do get involved. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Michelle. I also just want to give a shout out to everyone that we've never seen before that is actually coming because we tend to get focused into our filtered bubble. We develop our own caucus, we develop our own circle, and I'm strongly against that. I'm always reaching out to newer faces. So anyone that knows me and I haven't contacted you about this event today, that's why, because I spent my time, my limited time, reaching out to rural carriers, APW people, and other people across the networks to keep building. So I thank everyone that has never been part of this being part of this. And if you're still listening and you don't feel like you should speak up, please speak up. Next person up is Kirby.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Just wanted to ask what our following up with Michelle, I guess, what is our, or maybe I missed what she said. What is our or your, I guess, feelings on getting our local politicians involved? Because I think I talked to you, Murph, about this like a couple weeks ago. Um, and I'm just curious as things are progressing and as we get like dates planned for various things, because I've got connections. Our local councilman is on my route, and I talk to him. And I know technically I'm probably not supposed to do this kind of thing with him while I'm delivering his mail, but I have his information. So, yeah, just curious.
I think Chris could answer that question. Okay, I'll
Hi.
answer.
Okay, thank you.
Any politician that we could get out is better. They want our vote, they want our money. Let them earn it. It doesn't matter if it's a city council or a town clerk to a state politician or a senator. We should be reaching out to everyone because this is our career. And in 2013, our union and the members did absolutely nothing to fight back. And I'm not going to sit back and say I only did 20% when I could have done 100%. So if anyone that's listening, yeah, reach out to your politicians, reach out to everyone you can. Let's save the post office and let's save our retirement, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also too, one more
Just
thing I'll
to,
just add too is that no matter who it is, I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican, we got to put pressure on these people. Okay.
yeah.
They take our PAC money and then they don't do anything for us. And it's the same thing. Like right now, the fact that we put millions of dollars in our little carry political fund, yet we still can't get Congress to pass HR 70, which costs $0. It's just simply a statement that says we want a public service not to be privatized. And now we have a state associations, and I'm not, and I have feelings about the state associations, but we need to be doing more because I don't care what letters after your name. Stand with the city letter carrier, stand with the clerk, stand with the mail handlers. Our retirements, our lives, our jobs are on the line. That's because those arrow keys. We're getting robbed and people are getting murdered. We had that murder in Atlanta, right? So people are getting killed. I want politicians, if they're going to take the money and if they're not going to do it. And if we don't like it, we vote them out. We need a workers' party. That's another thing I'm going to go for someday. But I just have no faith that these two political parties, who've spent a long time screwing us over and ignoring us, finally put pressure on them, get them out there, make them do something. And we're going to DC, baby. We're going to see you
Yeah.
there. So, all right. And that's it. Thank you.
Let me just clarify because I saw some people in the chat saying this is being recorded. I have not spoken to my councilman, and I'm not lying. I have not spoken to him about any kind of political stuff. I speak to him in general, but
Right on.
All right, Tony, keep it short because you've already spoken. Wait, Tony, you have a podcast?
I don't think he does. I think he muted himself.
Yeah, no, I hit the unmute because usually that's what I do on my podcast is I mute myself because I know I like to talk. I'm on quite a few podcasts right now. I'm on the CCA Corner with my man Badmouth, and I'm also on the Solidarity Report with my partner in crime, Ryan Miller, Mr. High Life. He was in the building.
Uh,
Um,
was there a guest
Fuck.
host last week?
What the
one
Saturday night?
of
I spend a
the
Saturday night.
oh, and then I hit my man up with the hot tag the other day. My man Prez Greg, baby. I love this guy. Anyways, big thing I was gonna say is I've been a city letter carrier for 12, 13 years now. Never really was active, never really was interested, and I got fired up after the whole Fight Like Hell rally, and John fired me up, and my branch president in Local 55 fired me up. And we have a lot of strong, opinionated people, but we're all open to listen, especially in the WhatsApp group that that Chris linked to. And don't be afraid to ask anything because we're all open and honest about it. And even if it doesn't sound like everyone's like likes what you're saying at first, people will come around and reread it and think about it, and every perspective is open. So this is the place to be heard, and this is the place to grow. That's all I gotta say.
Cool. Thank you. We got Steve Mahoney. Want to introduce yourself? What craft and what City.
How you doing? I'm Steve Mahoney, letter carrier, branch 41, Brooklyn, Staten Island merged. And Murph, you made a comment that in 2013 the union and the members did nothing, but that was the infamous DAS award that went to arbitration. In 2008, that was the last time they hired PTFs, all career workforce, and the management then went into the TEs, the provisional employees, which was renewed maybe if every year. So the DAS award was kind of like at least maybe putting a little light at the end of the tunnel. I'm not happy with the CCA. I'm not happy with the two-tier pay schedules or anything that came as a result of that. But just to clarify, it was the DAS award, so it went to arbitration, and that was the shit sandwich that we were given to eat by an arbitrator. So the members weren't happy with it. I'm not happy with it, but at least it got away from that TE path because that was 5 years of basically no rights for the TEs. And I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Last one up is Weber. Go for it again.
Yeah, so I just want to make the plug for all of the things that are being talked about here are problems with our union, with the post office in general. Now my cat is trying to jump on my computer. Sorry. But I do want to say that we're not going to fix anything unless we can train adequately our mail carriers and eventually our managers. Of course, our mail carriers training are supposed to be the responsibility of our managers, but they're not doing it because they know they can cheat us and lie and stuff. So anyway, I am working on a training program. I was just on a meeting with Rank and File, and they're wonderful. And I've got Mike and Julie Bates that are going to help me find some people to help with designing a training program for mail carriers so that people coming into this project of theirs, their lifestyle, their career, can get trained and feel comfortable about their rights and what they're supposed to know. If anybody wants to help, they can send me an email. I'm going to put my email and my phone number in the chat there. But I don't really see a change unless people know how to design, how to run their lives and what's okay and what's not. So I'm just gonna say that.
Cool. Thank you. Let's throw it back to Margot and Greg to close out as co-hosts of the Next Generation Carriers podcast. Margot, you go first.
Yeah. So I think it's really great what we're doing here tonight. I'm really excited to be working with Mike and Julie Bates. Callie, if you're still in the chat, love you guys. Love you all so much. And I cannot wait to I'm already getting a text message from Callie Bates about when we're gonna plan this for. So hey, she there she is. I didn't have a whole lot to say, but thank you for coming out. We're gonna do the thing. We're gonna make it happen. Thank you for all of the support from folks from other unions that are not letter carriers. Having you involved is going to be the key. I think that the letter carriers, we can organize as much as we want, but if we don't have the rest of the workplace by our side to help, and if we're not there for each other, then what are we doing it for, right? Like, so I'll pass it over to Greg.
Yeah, just want to thank everybody for coming on tonight. Thanks, Mike and Julie, for coming on as well and speaking. This is going to take a lot of work. This contract is not gonna happen overnight. I know Brian's at a training right now, and they're asking about it, and he said, "Well, I think, tell me if this sounds familiar. I think this is it's gonna happen soon. It's gonna go to arbitration quick." I guess he's just was asked about that, and just organize, get together. Like Chris has been pushing that WhatsApp. Like I said, get the WhatsApp group. If you're not going to plan something before work, plan a rally on your own. You don't have to do what John and Chris and myself and Margot and Capone say. Just plan something. Get the public to get behind us. We are losing support with the public as every day that mail gets delayed. So just continue to come on these, continue to listen to all the next gen podcasts because we're gonna keep pushing this information out to everybody and all these plans. So I know it's never fun to spend a Sunday night on a Zoom, but I wanted to thank John and Chris for taking the lead on this. Capone sad he couldn't be here tonight. He had a prior engagement.
Dropkick
Again, thank
Murphys is a Boston tradition on St. Patrick's Day. Just
and
letting you
he
know
is
that.
sending us pictures and videos from there right now. So, yep. No, again, thank you everybody for coming on and joining us again.
Chris, you have any final words to everyone listening and watching?
No, I just want to say thank you all for being here. I know this was a long time. I know there's a million other things you'd rather be doing, but this is the necessary work we need. The people in 1970 put everything up on the line so we could be here right now. Right now, on the Solidarity Report, I don't know if Josh mentioned he has a show, but the TSA people, I'm going to be flying out in a couple days. Those people aren't getting paid at all. They're volunteers. They talked about like maybe you could leave snacks for them in the break room. They don't have anything. They don't have collective bargaining rights like we did. Those people in 1970, that little line that like we stand on the backs of giants, like they made it so here. So please honor the people who put up everything on the line in 1970. That's what we need the bravery of. I'm not calling for anything else, but like the idea is this: stand up. Let's start getting organized. Let's wait for so maybe 50 years from now, people will talk about, when we got it together in 2026. So please, thank you all for being here. Let's keep that struggle going, and we'll see you on the WhatsApp group, please. So, all
All
right,
right.
awesome.
To wrap this up, I'm going to plug again. If you're listening and you want to get involved, hopefully everyone shares this with your branch leadership, your coworkers. Don't be shy because if we see any draconian cuts to our benefits, what are you going to tell your family when they ask, what did you do to prevent this? And this is the smallest thing you could do. Go to nextgenerationcarriers.com/save USPS. Again, fill in your name, your email, phone number, what craft you are, what state you're in, and there's 3 questions. Will you bring a motion to your union meeting to adopt Save USPS for Mismanagement Day of Action? Are you on board with informational picket lines before clocking into work outside of your post office? And will you send a letter to your congressperson about saving USPS from mismanagement? We just voted for our next meeting to be March 29th at 11 a.m. The Zoom link will be sent out this Tuesday to everyone that signed up for the Zoom and signed up on the Next Generation Carriers website. So if you want to be involved, go to nextgenerationcarriers.com/save USPS because there was 100 people in the Zoom. Just be mindful, revolution started and succeeded with way less people. So all power to the people and solidarity to everyone. Good night.
Night, everybody. Thank you for being here.